Hello Sachin Kaka, how are you today?
Hello Janhvi, I'm doing wonderful. How are you today?
Good. Now I would first like to tell our listeners who don't know Marathi that Kaka means uncle in Marathi. So let's not confuse ourselves. So first of all, I would like to know where did you grow up, what's your education, and just how did you end up where you are right now?
Right, so I grew up in a very small village actually. That's in a region Marathwada in Maharashtra. And then subsequently from village we moved to a place which is like a taluka place, which is called a division, subdivision place. And that is where my primary, secondary education. And that was a place which was a very cultural, has a very strong social values in terms of active participation in freedom of Marathwadas, where my grandfather and forefather, all these people were involved in that.
Okay.
So that is my humble background where I come from. And then I did my engineering in Aurangabad, which is now Sambhajinagar, and then pursued MBA in Mumbai, and ended up in a semiconductor company here. And now last 13 years I work for a company called Access Business Group, which is Amway. So it is again the background plus experience brings it to this place, I can say.
Okay, going back to your social values and religious Indian values, how do you think Indian values have evolved with time, and how do you see them evolving in the future?
I always find this as a moving scale. So when you say evolve, I always find it is evolving ever stronger. Don't get me wrong when I say evolving stronger. We have very strong foundation.
Okay.
And the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is literally followed, and we are all ambassador of that. So that's evolving and getting stronger. So I'll say we are deeply connected with our roots and our values.
Why is it important for Indians living overseas to stay connected to roots, to maintain that tradition and that heritage?
This is an interesting topic. Like someone who is a first generation, like us, you and I, we came from India. So we have some strong roots there, we have connections there, and we grew with those values and traditions. Now when you come overseas, naturally you are trying to adapt to the land where you stay. So while doing that, there might be a chance that you are learning something new and still keeping your roots.
Okay.
So there is a chance that if you don't practice those, one fine day you might forget those. So I feel from that perspective, first to second, second to third generation, as generation passes, there will be a mix of cultures. So it's important to keep to those so that it remains, it stays, or it evolves better. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. But how do we stay connected to our roots and still be on balance with the globalization and the modernization that's happening?
Yeah, with the technological evolutions, and the things which are presented to us, I think staying connected is not that difficult if you compare in 90s or before that. So now you can be very well, like take your example, like Janhvi, you did your Japanese, you come from India, you come from a Marathi background, you study in a Indian overseas school, and you picked up a language which is neither from your land nor from the place where we live, and still you picked. See, that is the advantage of technology, which can present you this kind of opportunities. So I think it is very much possible and important to use this and still stay connected. You can use Zoom, video calls, you can still read online, and you can teach online and still be connected.
Okay, now going a little bit off topic, what are some misconceptions that people have about Maharashtrians in general?
Misconceptions. Wow, interesting thought on your mind. I wouldn't say misconception. I'll be maybe rephrase this as a strong impact, you can say.
Okay.
Maybe pursued value of Maharashtrians say that. Because the kind of impact Maratha kingdom had on pan-India, even you can say globally, is this is one community. When you see four strong mindset get together, people generally feel a little bit of, the strong impact. take example of Shivaji Maharaj, the management, the the lessons, the learnings we get from his life and philosophy.
Of course.
Take Gnaneshwar Maharaj for that matter. See, learnings from Pasaidan. So I think more than misconceptions, it is about the strong impact, the values, the social, the cultural values we inherited from our, great names which I called out, Shivaji Maharaj, Gnaneshwar Maharaj, and much before that as well. So that's how I'll say it is more about strong impact.
What does this impact, or this cultural background, does this influence your perception on current and social affairs?
Yeah, I mean, when you want to talk about social, current, or political affairs, this is something different than the great names which I called. But if you keep your eyes open and if you are listening intently, you can see what's happening around you and just be vigilant. So
Okay.
that gives you a message that you are staying connected to the current world, what is happening around. Does it answer your question, or you have something on? Because I don't feel I have answered your question thoroughly yet.
Does it impact the personal decisions that you're making in the real world today, in your work or in your family life?
I mean, your decisions are not always influenced. It does get influenced, but it is not 100% influenced by the happenings around, because you have your own reasoning for making decisions. I can say that.
Okay.
But yeah, these learnings, if they are strong, you will take some messages from Shivaji Maharaj's learning on how to face a situation. So situational leadership, a great quality if you want to call, or the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, what I called out in the beginning from Pasaidan. So certainly that broadens your thinking ability,
Okay.
right?
How do you preserve this tradition going ahead?
So
Like
as I
kids
said,
like me nowadays who've grown up overseas.
talk about it, talk about the social issues, talk about this, create awareness among your peers. When you talk with parents, I know you, like you and my daughter, when you talk about the current bands and music. At the same time, you talk about Zasi Chirani, and you also talk about Chizabai, and you talk about Shivaji Maharaj. So keep this topic on discussion.
Okay.
What you are doing, I'm always humbled and impressed, Janhvi. I've seen you growing from a very little young age, I mean, say, and now where you have come up, you kept your social values and they are demonstrated in your actions. So keep doing that. I think practice is the only thing we should put on table.
Okay. Thank you so much. My last question for you today is, what advice would you like to give someone who wants to learn more about our culture and wants to engage more deeply with our diverse culture?
All right, so culture is something, and for culture, I think language is base. Okay, so don't let your language die.
Okay.
So four things we talk about when it comes to language. We talk about Shravan, we talk about Samvad, we talk about Vachan, we talk about Likhan. So these are four things. Shravan is listening, Samvad is conversation, okay, Vachan is reading, and Likhan is writing. So when you grow as a small kid, toddler, what do you do first? You start listening to conversations. Your mom says something, your dad says something, surrounding people speak, you pick up the words. Then slowly you recite, start talking. So that is your conversation. Somewhat you break it into small words and sentences.
Okay.
Then you go into build a habit of reading. Initially it's reading your language, but slowly, like your example, now you are getting into Japanese. So you broaden your horizon, your skill set is developed. And then finally you start writing. That is where you're expressing yourself.
Okay.
And art is one of the form where writing doesn't necessarily need to be a script only. You can be you can do painting, you can do sketches, so you can express yourself. So I think if you go by these steps and keep up to your language, you are keeping your culture, right? And you can learn another language, you can learn another culture, but your roots can be well protected
Okay.
by practicing your social values by conversing in your own language. I'll say, speak in your language wherever you go. If you find two people, I know this interview could have been done in Marathi,
Yes.
but you had objective to make this video for letting your friends know on how our values we are keeping, and still we are open for learning. So I hope that answers your questions.
Yes. Thank you very much for your time today, and I think we will end it here. I would like to thank you again. Really, thank you a lot.
Thanks for having me today, Janhvi. I really appreciate, and all the best for your future. I'm sure you are going to grow as a very good youngster and adult, and you will be socially responsible. So thank you so much. All
Thank
the
you.
best.
And thank you to our audience for listening to us today.
Thank you.